whole system of governance is now becoming an isolated rot, and that is why they cannot sit pretty as they watch the church and yes, the church body exposing them and telling them the truth. I will still say that if they owe hospitals that belongs to churches money, let them not come here as a government and tell us that they are doing so because of the business that they are doing the government. They are the one who empaneled those hospitals who belongs to churches. They should pay them. That is a service that was offered to them. Yes, let them not come out here and cry, whine like you and me, a commoner. They have that instrument of power. Ruto, I think today said that some of these clergies, some of them are not enlightened enough. You see, I don't know how he managed to measure the quality of the education. And that is something that is actually bedeviling this nation, where you degrade and derogate other people because you have an you know you have some you think that you are more educated than them. You think that you have you can say everything. I mean, you are the Mr. Know everything. You know, you cannot wait to be given instruction. And not even instruction but advice. You cannot listen to other people's opinion. So if that is the case, then you are not the right the right person to be on that office, which is held, which is supposed to be held with utmost respect. So, as a concerned Kenyan, I would like to say clear, and I would like to state categorically that the attack on the clergymen was uncalled for. It wasn't even, it was just one letter signed by over 28 clergies. But you see, the response and the attack from all sector and corners of the government is uncalled for. It's demeaning to the side of the government. That is not the way to react. It's not the way to act. The government should always be proactive, not reactionary. Let them solve the issues that are affecting our comrades in university. Let them solve the evils which they are referring to teething problem. I don't think teething problem, because even this she and Sha is yet to be born. They forced the birth of she and Sha. They could have given it time. How did it develop to that extent of having teeth? So there is no teething problem here. We are dealing with something that ought not to be even here. Let the government stop pretending and hiding behind blame game and telling us every time that whenever there is an issue, it is the former. It is the former. It is where were they before? That is not the way to solve the problems that are affecting us. Tell us that, yes, we have heard you. This is what we are doing. Yes, that is not what the government is doing. So, my dear
One
comrade,
minute, normal.
comrade and Kenyans, we have a serious task ahead of us on when is the date? Next week, we must occupy Parliament so that we can be able to send that message and tell these gentlemen that and women that we are completely disgruntled, we are completely discontented, and we are dissatisfied with their service, the work that we sent them to those offices do for us Kenyans is completely below par, and we need to tell them that they need to uh, resign and let the rightful owners of those office occupy the office, and that is the sovereignty of these people, who is the Kenyan people, the Kenyan people. Thank you, Kapita.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mau Mau. Academia, are you there? Are you still there? Academia ni kama alienda bwana.
Yeah, VP.
Huko.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you. You said earlier on in the morning you are fire and now you're better. Maybe talk to us. What are your thoughts on all this? Naogopa Wakenya akisema
no,
wamekasirika bwana.
hata mamo alikasirika. Kilisikia Ajuga akisema alikuwa fire na kila mtu alikuwa breathing fire hiyo time, but tukakuja tu tukarelax. It is now weekend, tumeingia weekend, so hakuna haja ya kukasirika. To enjoy to Sabbath for the SDS people. Tuna welcome Sabbath for those who are going on Sunday, like myself. Unangoja. So I think Mau ameongea vitu mingi. Nimeongea kizungu mingi leo. Sio sasa itakuwa aje. Wacha nijaribu Kiswahili. Sasa hii mambo ya 21st occupying parliament. This idea of occupying parliament. The intention is to, what exactly are we going to do when we say we are going to occupy parliament? Are we going to occupy parliament in the sense like on 25th of June, or we just do it like in a normal, people just go there running battle with the police. At the end of the day, we go home and all do the just. So I think it is good. I'm not against occupying the parliament. And I'm also not against the church. But this issue of the church, you see, the reason why we have a topic to discuss about the bishops and all that church. I don't want to call it the bishop. Let's address is the church, the voice of the church. Is better that way than just picking a group of people out of that pool. So the church in its entirety should come out and voice or speak in one voice to address the challenges that affect Kenyans in unison. Not it is, because you realize that it is always the Catholic group that comes out to speak over the years. I haven't seen any piece or part of denomination that that is consistent in calling out bad governance as the Catholic or our brothers on the other side normally do. I don't know whether because they are the majority or they are well known and all that stuff. I don't know. But I think all of us should be joining this cause. Now, my second point, we've tried Mandamano, most of the things that people enjoy, even before we were born. I'm told people went on street. So it appears like the language in Kenya to bring any change or any form of transformative change is for any particular group that is grieved to go to the street. But on this, I think we all Kenyans must come out to condemn the wrong that the government is doing, because it is a government of people, for the people, by the people. So we can't vote in the government, then sit back and then accuse the other side. Whether you voted for the Kenya Kwanza or not, that is, they call it is one under the bridge. it is expected not everybody will support your man or your person, but that is why it is democratic. We go to elections and elect people we think can represent us or can do what is right for us. Now, the focus is good governance. So all of us should unite to fight only one cause, to get the right people to get us good services, regardless of your background, because kama ni njaa, njaa ikiwa Nyanza, the same njaa iko Mombasa, the same njaa iko Garissa, the same njaa iko Central, the same. So nobody is going to the shop to buy at a cheaper price because they support government or they oppose government. When people are in their situation, all of us suffer. And we only have two groups. We have the rich people and the poor people. So, but the poor people are the majority. I wonder how come these poor people have not realized that they have the power to change things through the ballot. Because I love things that are done structurally or in a structured way or which is legal way. Why can't we accept PP that if we can't do a revolution, that it is initiative that nobody has come forth to initiate, it is from within the people or from the people themselves to come out in unity and demand for good governance. Then if that is not possible, because these people are using divide and rule method, people will go straight, you realize that it will only be felt in Nairobi or maybe major towns. The rural is quiet now. And that's why it is very difficult to change it, because the moment other parts of the country are quiet, waiting for the Nairobi people or Mombasa or these big cities to act, we cannot actualize that to the end. We must activate from the farthest end, from the farthest village, coming all the way to capital city. And it is a cause for Kenyans by Kenyans to get a good governance. The moment we cannot achieve that, let us go back to the drawing board. Let us mobilize our people like we used to do on Twitter. People go get, because you can fight it in so many ways. There are people who will go and sit on 21st, there are people who will sit at back. And the fact that people are at home, they are also helping those who are in front to fight. So all of us fight the same cause. So, but we must also be very strategic in the sense, if we want to achieve good governance, we must look the ways on how to get it. If it is through ballot, let us mobilize people. Let us go for the IEBC to be constituted. And we know that is a big issue. So let us push things that can work our ways legally and in good time, so that we have them in place in readiness for a change that we normally have at the end of or after every 5 years. Anything that can happen before the end of 5 years or before 2027 for now can only be done by the Kenyans themselves in large numbers in form of revolution or any petition to remove president or any other thing. And the moment you subject yourself to process, you must abide by the rules of the game. Like now, I had Madeira people are collecting signatures and all that. They can impeach their MP in whichever manner, but that impeachment might be legal. So after collecting your signatures, the next step is what you should focus on, not collecting, because that you can do. So after that, what next? So those hurdles that may make people not to achieve what they want is what we need to focus on, the constitution of IEBC, because we can only have legal election when IEBC in place. Any other route is either revolution or uncouth route, which we are not ready to go today or now. So what is the solution? Mobilize people. Let us give people civic education on good governance, what the bishops are now calling out the government whenever they are wrong. And we continue with this civic education to the end and ensure that we explain to people what the government ought to do. And when they don't do that, the rights of the people. In fact, we should be very focused on what, as individual, you are right to hold government to account, and you are denied that right because you are not aware of your right. So let us make people be aware of what they are supposed to do and understand the power they hold in their hand that can change this country. Once people are aware of that, like now, very many people are aware of their rights, as opposed to maybe before 2022 or before 2024. What happened on 25th, and from 25th to today, you can easily see the engagement that people have had and the awareness that people have. And with the young people, the college people and all that, they are aware. So this is what we can capitalize on and ensure that we get the right people in place. Otherwise, if we say that we want to go to street and expect church to be in front, because all of us attend church, most of us attend church. So when we say we want church people to go, do we want the clergies to be in front or we want church people to go? Because even myself, I'm a church person, only that I'm not a clergy or I'm not a bishop or reverend or pastor. So we must also be, if we want pastors to go, let us call them, okay, we want to do this thing, but we want pastors to be in front and we follow them. And you cannot force them to be front if they are not willing to be. So let us not hide under people. So we push the church because we think the church has not played their role or they are supposed to do that. So we push them because that is what we want them to do. Let it be inborn within themselves. If they feel like going to the street as what they did yesterday or any other day, it is well and good. But we don't push people to do with that they don't want to do. Because change, you cannot force somebody for a change. But if it comes for everybody. It sweeps across the board. Nobody will be left. So, Pepe, that is what I can say.
Okay, thank you so much for that as well. I want to say something in regards to the point that I posted out there. So 21st of this month, the president, for those who are wondering why people are going to the streets on the 21st, on 21st of this month, the president is expected, according to the constitution, to give what we call a State of the Nation address. Now, not in the State of the Nation address, according to the constitution, it says that the president is supposed to give the country a report in an address in the joint parliament uh, once a year, where he tells the country on the progress of the country. So yes, that is the day. That will be 21st. Last year it was 9th of November, but he has delayed it this year to 29th. We'll be hearing more lies, of course. Price of unga, fertilizer. What else do you guys expect will be in that speech? Probably come into the mic and tell me. I see a couple of other guys on the mic. You can on the listener panel. You can request the microphone and talk to us. Earlier on, I don't understand why we do not have a singular voice, and that is one thing that has made even infiltration of the organization of the movement easier, because as you can hear, the Catholic bishop was there and they have spoken with one voice. In their silence they were united, in their silence, and also in their voice they were united. But when it comes to us, we speak what we want to speak, yani. Leo utasema oh, leaderless sijui nini nini, kesho mtu akiongea vibaya tena, oh, you are on their neck. You see, and that is how we actually managed to sabotage ourselves, out of this whole level of control that we had. So as we are coming out, guys, we need to stop pointing out our fingers so much and forgetting our role. So as you also come out and say, wewe ni nani, wewe ni unafanya nini? Ask yourself, what am I doing in this movement? So I was saying, you went to the ballot in 2022. Did you know that in 2024 there will be a Gen Z movement? Will you say that there was no though think there was gonna be a Gen Z movement? So you say, let me mess my country up for 2 years first of all, as I wait for the Gen Zs to come and liberate the country, so that you can be mad at me when I say, if you voted for this government, you voted for 5 years, you voted for it, you chose, ulisema kwamba hii miaka 5 ni yangu ya hii nchi, okay? So the only way you can redeem yourself is getting out. Hakuna njia ingine, mtu wangu. Hakuna vile unaweza sema eti sasa Yes, as the guilt is consuming you as it should, also kindly remember that you chose 5 years of this and you did not even know there was going to be a Gen Z movement. So what were you planning for your country? And have some shame. Because when it comes to 2027 and all that, we also will be requiring your brain. So if you decide to be that emotional also, you see how you're going to commit the future generation to a lot of troubles. Yeah, I'm talking to you that voted because you're punishing Uhuru Kenyatta. Idiot. You set us up. And we said these things. And the worst part is people are convinced that I don't even know how to say that one in aloud. It's so stupid for myself. Jeffy, talk to me.
Hauna ile nyaunyo yako leo?
Iko, ndo hiyo. Nonsense. Unajua nimekasirika hata nimeshindwa. Unajua leo nilikuwa na I think Redemptor is here. I remember when I was told Redemptor is a pro-government, nika post nikicheka nikamdm. Sasa leo Redemptor is my day too. So anyway, talk to me Jeffy. Leo sina maasira sana. Wacha tu niwachie munyi ndo mkasirike kunishinda.
Like I submitted earlier. Ni kama sasa tumefikiwa sisi wote. Tunafinywa sisi wote. I mean, there was a time that this was a movement that was just relegated to the young people, the Gen Z. But I think now, because of the civic education that has been happening across board, people are coming, ni kama wanafunguka macho, and especially when it comes to the church, we will say they were blind, but now they can see. So they are actually welcome on board. And I wish they started this earlier on to talk about what happened on the 25th of June. Wangeongea kuhusu vile vijana wamebeba tu maji na bendera na sauti zao, wanapigwa marisasi hapo nje ya parliament. One of the assumptions in the constitution is that the people that we would elect in parliament, whether in the Senate or the National Assembly, would, by default, be the representation of the people on the ground, their constituents. But as things turn out to be, they are representatives of the executive, quote unquote, captured parliament. And now, of course, we see it, the trajectory is the last line of defense, which is supposed to be the judiciary, supposedly is also in bed with the government. And therefore, the common mwananchi is left with the questions of whom and who do we have? Who can fight for our rights, our freedoms? Like I said, 6 decades down the line, this is not a conversation we should be having. Why do we live in our own nations and you have to walk around, looking back, over your shoulders because you are afraid that anytime you could be abducted simply because you are exercising constitutional right enshrined in the constitution. And I don't know whether we should suspend the constitution altogether, or if not, then we should be told how then does public participation, and when we voice out our concerns, how do they affect and impact the decision making processes in government? Because uh, public participation is one of those principles that ensures that there is transparency and the people hold their government of the day accountable. So mimi mahali tumefikia sasa, I think the international community has seen, is seeing. Nilikuwa nafikiria ni kama hii kuongea kwetu hapa kwa space ni kama Ruto hasikiangi na ni kama hata hana shughuli, but I came to realize it is actually working. If you've seen the silhouettes that have been made about Must Go, I think he has employed some of his bloggers to do pro-government silhouettes. And the fact that we have a presidency that keeps on, anytime the people raise concerns against his governance, he has to get a rejoinder. And I'm like, how petty is our presidency? Haizi nyamaza, lazima ajibu kila kitu yenye ameambiwa. And for me, it is a sorry and sad state of affairs. And in part, we have ourselves to blame because this government didn't find itself there. Over 7 million people put this government there. So maybe, if anything, we should learn. We should learn now and not forget so that we don't make the same mistakes in future. So thank you. I yield the mic.
Thank you for that. That submission gets us na leo watu wanamaliza on the dot. On the dot.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Najua mnangoje ifike saa 2 mwanze kurequest microphone. Yone Western Gloria Redemptor kila mtu hapa. Yeah. Show inaisha saa 3 guys. Now nimewa mark. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in here on Home Run with PP, of course, your social conversation spaces. And we are just catching up on the goings on in our country. And nobody is even is talking about how the government came out with a whole list of achievements, including the number of learners these pastors are trying to make them feel useless. Guys, according to him, what? There was like, the Catholic Church should be, these bishops should know that there are 7 million learners who are going to be affected by your comments. You guys, how all these learners you are willing to hurt? You heartless man. You're not even married. That's why. They almost say that, of course. I can't put it past them. Somebody somewhere in the office even suggested it. If you can be a blogger for these people, you can definitely suggest something like that. Anyway, I have KD on the mic. How are you doing, KD?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks for the space, and I want to give you a challenge. You do a very good job, and I think you have a big outreach. One thing I would just request is, in some of such spaces, if you can maybe stretch your hand with the links and connects you have, try as much as you can, see if you can get one of these clergies on board. It would shed so much light to most people, because I'm Catholic myself, so I'm speaking out of something I'm so much aware of, and not like I'm very righteous. I have so many sins, maybe even more than most of you. But the one thing I have come to learn is the disconnect we have as a society with our spiritual being. And we get to see how much spirituality is so important in a nation. But unfortunately, just like in any other departments and whatever's in life, the one thing we lack is knowledge. So, for instance, there has been so many allegations, and myself, I have a few priests who I have a one-on with, and we're just getting to know what happened yesterday, but have not been aware of what has been happening before it got to yesterday. Such that some people even going ahead and saying it's because they never got their money because of the institutions and stuff and stuff and stuff. That's why they decided to do what, to open their mouths and talk. But um, Kenya has 9 million Catholics, and these leaders have been trying to get on a consensus rather than agreement with the government. But they always play that dog ball. You know, when you almost get into an agreement, the ball is thrown on another side, and then you have to run for the ball. I think it's Academia who said he's Christian as well, and we are the church, we are the people. The only thing is we forget so fast. And I say this because if I remember very well, a few months ago we had a tagline, a hashtag we were pushing, Occupy Churches. And when this happened, every one of these leaders ran away from the church. We sanitized the altars. And then after a few months, what happened? We actually backed out again. What happened? They went back in again. So mine is just that there's so many things we are not informed about, and I'll just call upon us to try and think of maybe fact checking ourselves and getting to be active in all these areas that make up a society, because society is just not you and me or the government or every other thing. You know, education, hospitals, roads, they're done deal and all these things that affect us. Why is it that this time round there's so many people who have spoken, people of the color who've spoken, but there has not been any such of an whatever a reaction. But why is it that this particular whatever spoken, everything just seems to be, like it's an inspection that is being, or an audit that is being done eventually. So mine is just to ask us, like the people responsible, the way you started off by saying, those who voted for this government. When I actually say choices have consequences, this is some of the things that we have to face, because when we elect leaders, we need to think of what is in it for us and what will happen in the next 5 years. Not just think of he's my favorite blogger or a space holder, without knowing that eventually he'll start acting funny at the end, which calls for knowledge and interest in getting to be a little bit responsible in terms of what is used to run operations and the choices that are going to be. I mean, the aftermath that is going to come out of the choices that I have made. I hope that makes a little sense. Thanks. And I'll let you run the show as you always have. Thanks.
Thank you, KD. Of course, I'm a Catholic as well by birth. Nimesoma pia. Actually, the very right Reverend Philip Agnolo is the one that confirmed me and gave me the name Francis. Yeah. So when I speak about it, I also speak from my religious standpoint that my leaders are speaking in that voice. And when I hear people talk about Catholic and eating money, I remember there's a place called Mission in Hispania. So Mission is where they used to have, that is the parish. Yeah, they had a school called St. Anne's. They had um, a pigsty, a canteen, and of course there was a farm where the people also used to farm there for the priests. And all this money just rotated within the community at some point. So as well, they had like a health center as well. So guys, the church is also doing a good job. Muhija, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, PPI.
Niko salama.
Just had KD. I think it's
Nikuwekee
KD.
kitu. Nikuwekee kitu bwana. Usikubali nikule za serikali peke yangu.
Nilikuwa nakwambia ukishapata hizo ukuje huku Western nikuonyesha ranch yako, anze ranch. Kuna mashamba na weather ni mzuri sana. Pia kuna mabibi wako kwa wingi.
Jamani, si tulisema mimi sitaki kwanza.
Usiwaste pesa serikali kwa raha Nairobi pipi. Na unaweza kuwa na ranch 30 acres.
Wewe noma sana mzee. Maoni yako siku ya leo ni gani bro?
Yeah, nimesikia KD akiongea. Hata mimi pia I'm speaking from the point of Catholic. I'm a Catholic. So after hiyo 25th August, June, tulikuwa very disappointed wakati tuliona hao bishops wakienda State House. Personally, nilikuwa very disappointed. Na yule ambaye aliniuma sana alikuwa huyo Mweria, because I wasn't expecting him to support whatever was happening at that time. But then we are not even privy to what they talked with the president or what they discussed. But then after that, kukaona ile Occupy churches. So in my diocese, mimi ni wa Kakamega diocese, and my bishop is Joseph Obanyi. Akatoa circular, akasema anataka kukutana na Gen Z na millennials. Basi sikuwa na time ya kwenda hiyo mkutano. Mara ya kwanza ilikuwa imepangwa ikuwe hapa tu town, but then they realized there were people who were planning to disrupt the meeting na ingekuwa chaotic, so I moved to some other place. But then vijana walienda and they were open. Ukaambia bishop their views, and I think he was shocked. Even the priests were shocked, because maybe I thought he was expecting to whip them. Ama they choose a narrative and you supportive of the church and the government. But then unfortunately for them, they are very candid. Like wakamwambia everything. Hadi zile ills ambazo ziko kwa church, my own church, na all those things. Hata misbehavior priests walimwambia everything. So at the end of the day, alikuwa very disappointed, very angry. But I think he listened. Kwa sababu from that point, niliona there were some changes across the church, especially for the local church. Personally, in our local church, in our parish, our priest doesn't allow politicians to come over. Hata tu kufanya harambee, it's not allowed. I can't even remember any time tulikuwa na politician nakuja church kufanya fundraising. They just come kama wale wenye kama baraza. Our governor is a Catholic, so when he comes to church anapewa tu time ya kuongea, then anaambiwa after that ushasalamiwa Kristo. If you want to hold any meeting or political, just go with them outside, ama muende mpange another day, another forum, muende mfanyie kwa siasa zenu. So our parish mambo imekuwa poa. But I think based on what I heard yesterday from the bishops, I think they heard what the young people are saying. I think walifika time wakarealize they are losing a very important cohort from the church because they were losing it. Vijana walikuwa wameanza kutoka kanisani, they don't come. Walikuwa wameanza kuresist, walikuwa wana oppose openly. At first walikuwa wanaona kama ni rebellion of some sort, but then I think they have realized with the time kwamba these young guys are very serious. They know what they want, and they are going to do everything. And for the church to survive, you must have young people in the church. So I appreciate vile wamekuja wameongea, but I feel maybe ingekuwa earlier. Watu wengi wamesema ingekuwa earlier. I share in the same sentiments, ingekuwa earlier. Can you imagine that time after 25th, alafu na hizi abductions zote zimekuwa zikiendelea? Just a word from the bishops. Mnaona yenye wameongea tu jana imeleta fracas kwa government. Can you just imagine wangekuja that time na waseme things are not right, like abductions zinaendelea, corruption ni iko, things are not working. Just a single statement. But I think for somebody, a few of them have been speaking, though haijakuwa ikikuwa picked on the media. but I'm happy ile ya jana ilikuwa picked na ime-raise a lot of interest Kenyans na government. So my only wish ni kwamba we will see more of them coming, more of those statements. They always hold water. For us, for us Catholics, or those of us who are Catholics, when bishops issue those circulars, you may not agree with them, but you always sit down and reflect. Una reflect, unajiuliza mnaambiwa nini, what are they saying? The same thing happened na ile referendum. What happened before the constitution, ile Ruto alikuwa na support. I think the award ilimsaidia huyo Ruto, and that's why I realized the value of the church na I ride on it until 2022 akakuwa president. And now he's angry because he knows if he loses that power ama that support, he is nobody. So I think the church has spoken, we support the church, but then we just implore the church to be on the right side. Waendelee kuongea, waendelee kutoa statements. Na kuna mtu amesema hapa ajui vile church zikashiriki hiyo 21st. PP optics ziko very important. Naweza tu nikakupatia example, hiyo 21st tumegather somewhere and then kuna pastor hapo ama kuna bishop hapo amekuja ameambia watu nyamazeni, amesoma neno hapo na ameomba na akasema haya tuanze match. That thing is powerful. It send a very powerful message. Watu watakuwa I think people in government watakuwa unsettled. So we are quick always, like personally nikasema we are always quick kujudge kanisa, but then we should also find ways ya ku-involve hiyo kanisa in whatever we're doing, kwa sababu Kenya as we are now, we stand on Christian values. We can't run away from that. And then the role of the church will always be a priority for anything that we do in Kenya. But then we have to find ways za maybe as nikasema ku-inject. In case kanisa isahau their role, we have to remind them always. We remind them always in our own respective ways. Na watakuja wakikuwa on board, once we win over the church, we have won more than 50% of Kenya. And I think the current government will not survive once we have the church on our side. So let me learn from there, people. Thank you.
Asante sana Muhija kutoka pale maeneo ya acha tusije kusema natoka wapi mzee. Tunajua tu Miseda ndo Gen Z from Kilalaisha. Bro. Victor, how are you doing?
Niaje pipi?
Poa sana mzee.
Umeoa?
Si tulisema hiyo story kwamba nime sign off kwamba mimi mambo ya kwa msiniweke kwa mix. I like my peace.
Bas unapiga nduru ya shift kwa nini kama hujaoa? Kwani you'll get pregnant?
Sasa mzee. Unapiga nduru ya relatives. My relatives si wataoa. I have nephews.
Are you employed?
With who? By who?
Sasa basi housing levy, shift, NSSF, machozi ni ya nini kama hizo? Are you a blogger?
Unajua hivyo ndo watu huanza alafu wanasemekana wamelipwa.
15% tax ya mbadi unalialia, unapiga nduru na hata utakuwa unailipa. Shida iko wapi?
Nitakuwa nalipa 15% ya online income. Nitakuwa nalipa 15% online income. What are you saying bwana?
Sasa wewe utakuwa unalipa online 15% kwa sababu Gaido alishasema unalipwa. Tunataka utugawie kidogo. Sisi tumekuwa ma customer hapa since July last year bwana. Unakula tu peke yako. Sisi unatuambia tu ati nitaweka kwa maombi. Kumbe wewe huko nyuma unatembelewa. Pipi bwana. Kwanza nitaenda kwa M-Pesa statement nianze kutuma receipt basi. Anyway, to the point today, to the point of the events that are happening in the country, I think we are at a very crucial moment. Na mimi now I know that WSR is a one-term president. If you guys decide to make him a second-term president, msikuje kulia hapa. In fact, kama uko hapa na unasikia hii statement, lazima ukuwe na 10 or 20 people next to you who you know will vote this government out. But we are not only voting this government out. We must make sure that the next government coming in understands their mandate. Kwa sababu saizi we have a caliber of senators and members of parliament who think their role is to support the president, who think their role is to represent the president in parliament. But that is not their role. Their role is to listen to what the people are saying and then tell the president that no, this is not going to happen. I mean, public universities are on strike. But yesterday you saw the Minister of Education coming out with a very stupid statement that is, tumefanya hii na hii na hii na hii na hii. And I keep saying this, if what you are doing is working, you don't need to report it. Kenyans will tell you. Sarah Ndidi Nyoro alisema hivyo on one of these budget meetings where he was at one of these big hotels, that we should not be telling Kenyans what we have done, but Kenyans should be telling us that, we can feel what you are doing. We can, yani tunaifeel. Sasa unaona siku hizi wameanza kutupa ma statistics huku. Sijui tumejenga ma classrooms ngapi. And we can start walking through this country and we will show you schools that don't even have classrooms. Children learn under the trees. Yet tunatuambia that tumejenga classrooms. But hizo classrooms zimejengwa wapi? Because the first priority should be for those students who are learning under the trees. We are not supposed to be increasing classrooms at Alliance when people in Marsabit Primary School are learning under trees. We should not be expanding classrooms at Kisumu Boys when children in West Pokot, Maralal Primary School, do not even have classrooms. And then you come and tell us that, the economy is working, so your GDP has grown by 5%. My grandmother doesn't care about GDP. She doesn't care about GDP. At inflation month to month imerudi chini by it's at 2.7%. Okay, good. But what that simply means is compared to last month, the price of unga is still 2.7% higher. Yeah. We are still paying 2.7% more to buy certain food products, certain services, and so on and so forth. So you can't come and tell us that things are working when everybody in this country tells you that things are not working. Yeah. Alafu, the things that are working, you don't even have a good communication team that can communicate with humility and with respect and with dignity to Kenyans. And if what Nyakundi had posted on his Twitter timeline, where the government bloggers wanapigana, until even one of them, who was a former journalist who would read primetime news, na tulikaa chini kwa masebule zetu na tunamsikiza, anasema that we resort to propaganda. That if we cannot win the propaganda war, if we cannot beat them at this media war, then we ingie propaganda. Those were the statements of one Mwanaisha Kizuga, deputy government spokesman. Anasema hivyo na mdomo yake. A short statement from the bishops that didn't even last 1 hour has elicited all sorts of things. Mpaka leo hata Sholei anasema that tusiaibishe rais hadharani. Kama Yesu alisulubiwa hadharani na Yesu ni mtoto wa Bwana ambaye tunapiga magoti kila jioni tukimuomba na tukimrudishia shukrani. Kila asubuhi akituamsha tunapiga magoti chini na tunaomba na tunamshukuru. Alisulubiwa hadharani hadi akatemewa mate. Kwani Ruto ni nani hawezi ambiwa ukweli hadharani? Hii God complex tuko nayo about our leadership. Ndio maana hatujawahi make serious steps that we are supposed to make as a country. Wengine sasa wameanza kusema that where were they during the Uhuru Kenyatta regime? That's not the point, because the Uhuru Kenyatta regime is no longer in power. It's now a regime that is in power. Alafu, what I'm really happy about is you can see that when they just think that things are dying down. Kwa sababu vile ilianza na mambo ya Gen Z kuna wasaliti walienda wakaingia, wengine wakaenda wakakula State House, bla bla, watu wakafikiria inaisha. Just when you think inaisha, Kibet Bull pia ametoka na zake sasa. Sasa hata nasikia zinaanza kuwa ni video, zitakaanza kuwa video sasa. Na Kibet pia atapanda tu, tukiona kama yeye anachoka choka, utastuka tu mwingine pia ametokelezea. Na hiyo ndio momentum that we need until 2027. But hata tukielekea 2027, jameni, anyone mwenye mawahi kuwa kwa kitu inaitwa KANU ama mawahi kuwa associated na kitu inaitwa KANU, tafadhali, whether ni MCA, whether ni MP, whether ni governor, peleka nyumbani. Botswana have shown us how to do it. Mauritius have shown us how to do it. The United States just recently showed you how to do it. Yeah? And you can look at all other countries that are voting around the world, the way they are kicking incumbents in the balls and saying we are tired of all this nonsense. That is what we need to do. Hiyo ndo mpangilio lazima tukue nayo. Hiyo yani tujitayarishe kabisa. So that ikifika hiyo siku tunapiga kura, tunaenda tunakula lunch, tunarudi. Hata sasa kama ni tunachoma mahindi tukipika chai hapo hivyo nje ya polling stations, tunangojea results. And if each one of us takes that responsibility, na hata tukizungumza na watu, we should not force them to see our point of view, but we should speak to their realities. Hiyo ndio kitu siku hizi nimepata inafanya kazi vizuri sana. Speak to people's realities. Usimwambie kitu unafikiria, kwa sababu ukimwambia kitu unafikiria atakuona au labda amelipwa kuja niambie hivi. Just speak to their realities. How are you experiencing life? Watoto wanaenda shule vizuri? Umemaliza school fees? Hii mwaka ni nini umejinunulia hata ya maana apart from kulipa bills? Those realities, speak to them. And then tie that to tuko hapa kwa sababu ya bad governance. Yeah, tuko hapa kwa sababu ya bad governance, and that's the truth. Na hii serikali wali promise A, B, C, D. Mnakumbuka hata wamama wakiambiwa watapata sijui free diapers after giving birth, uko na free diaper supply for 2 months. Ile gas ya 6 kg nilisikia in 2 months itakuwa 600 shillings, sijui 700 shillings. Sijui by this year January ingefaa tuanze kupata matibabu bure. Has anybody getting matibabu bure hapa? Hakuna mtu anapata matibabu bure hapa. In fact, even the chief has made things worse. Not that it's a bad thing. Maybe it's a very good thing, but it's just how it's implemented. Iko na haraka and people are quick to make deals. People are quick to make deals. So document all these things in every day. Document these things and let us speak about our realities every day. Ile bunge ya wananchi yenye kina Nuru Okanga na ule anaitwa nani ule jamaa sijui namba 1 ama sijui whatever. These are the things that tupeleke ground kila mahali. And I hear that in certain spaces these things are happening. Hata kama sisi tunafanya yetu hapa mtandaoni, kwa ground unasikia pia kuna watu wanaongea vitu zao. But me, I keep saying grassroots, that is where this thing is won or lost. Si mnaona venye hata tukitumia tu the American election for instance, you see the way the Democrats were concentrating on urban areas, urbanites. Maze urbanites hawapigi kura. They would rather sit on their sofas than waende wapige kura. Hiyo laini ni refu, mvua inanyesha. Mashinani, watu wanapanga laini because they feel it's like their birthright to do this. Yeah? Huko ndio sasa inafaa tushike doria kabisa. Tufunzane, tusikizane, tuongee, tukue kwa level moja. Whether umesoma sana ama hujasoma sana, tukiongelea mambo ya Kenya, tuko kwa level moja. We learn from each other. Then I'm telling you we will make a step. Nikimalizia, Catholic Church wazidi kuinject. Sasa tunangojea SDA, tunangojea PCA, tunangojea Anglican na AIC pia watokelezee waseme za kwao. Because once alafu na imams ile muhuri pia wakikuja waseme zao. Sasa nashangaa hii serikali ni wapi watashika, because truth be said, leo nimesoma report fulani that Portugal has been experiencing brain drain from young people. Young people are leaving Portugal, they are coming to the northern states like Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, because of better opportunities in those places. It's not that in Portugal there are no better opportunities. There are still very good opportunities, Apple. But because incomes in Portugal are lower compared to these other countries, young people are flooding those other countries. So you know what the state has done? They are considering 100% income tax exemption on young people of a certain age range. Tuseme ukiwa between 25 and 30, unaambiwa hizo miaka 5 hautalipa tax, income tax. Utalipa taxes zingine kama VAT, maybe utalipa property tax, whatever, but income tax hautalipa. And the income tax is usually the biggest component of most taxes that we pay. So they're considering doing that so that they can retain these people in the country so that they can build our economy. Our Minister of Labor anabeba report ati 10,000 Kenyans wamepelekwa Gulf. Na hiyo ndio wanadiscuss kwa cabinet memo, and then they feel very proud to actually tell us that tumepeleka 10,000 Kenyans in the Gulf. When we know what is happening in the Gulf. We know what is happening in the Gulf. Si tunaona wale wasichana wetu wenye wanafanywa. Na tunajua wengi ya wale watu wanaenda huko, they are either unskilled or semi-skilled people. Kwa hivyo ni kama wanaenda huko na half a right.
1 minute, Victor.
Yes, yet we can boast of that tumepeleka watu 10,000 kufanya kazi sijui ni Oman ama sijui ni Qatar ama sijui ni wapi. It's not supposed to be like that. Alfred Mutua is the Minister for Labor for Kenya. He is not the Minister for Labor for outside Kenya. Yeah? Those countries have their own ministries of labor. Wacha hao watu wakuje huku waseme tunataka skilled engineers. Alafu serikali iseme skilled engineers mnaweza enda huko. But tusikuje huku ati tunatafuta housekeepers. Alafu ukifika huko hata hauna hata right. You are mistreated so bad. Unarudi nyumbani hata watu wa kwenu wamekusahau kwa sababu ya majeraha na wounds zenye uko nazo. And those who don't make it back in caskets. Yeah? Hiyo ndio situation tuko ndani. So mimi ndio ni kuwahimiza uzidi kufinya. This is our country. Na tusikue na uoga. Because good countries are built on such important social discussions. Asante pipi.
Haya basi, mmesikia venye mambo yako. Thanks so much Victor for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Home Run with the PP. Wow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Home Run with PP.
Tuned into Home Run with PP, ladies and gentlemen. This each and every day from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. I hope you had a great week. As we are coming to the close of the week, I'm just hearing your opinion on this town hall here on Home Run. And I see the Real Joe is here. I'm going to go to listen to Real Joe, Redemptor, then Ivan is said as well, in that order. The Real Joe, how are you doing?
Peter ni aje?
Niko poa sana. Labda wewe.
Nimesikia wewe ni NIS siku hizi.
Bana, pesa ndo sijaona ikiingia ama payroll number ndo sijatumia. But nikiget nitakushow.
Qualifications za kwa NIS ni gani? Hiyo ndo nataka kujua juu. Sasa hii maneno sasa ni kama sielewi.
Kwanza mpaka ukuwe na show yenye unaitisha tipja, hiyo nayo mpaka ikuwe important. Because naona hiyo ndo nikani waliangalia sana wakinipatia.
Anyway, Pipita, I think hata kuna time nilisikia Redemptor pia alikuwa NIS, but atatuambia alikuwa recruited aje. But I think at the end of the day, saa zingine we just lose sense in what we are doing sometimes, because intolerance yenye imekuwa I don't know whether sometimes to say movement ama nini, but the intolerance that we've had ni ujinga. People just come up with unqualified information and like unverified information, and they just want to make it the in thing. But those are some of the things that zinaendelea, and you wonder what is happening, watu wanajaribu kufanya, but those are distractors, so we just need to avoid them at all cost. Having said that, the hot topic is the bishops, the Catholic bishops. I think it is important to note that the statement that they gave is very critical, and that's why you're seeing the government firefighting. As much as we might castigate them for not being there, or much as we might want them to do more. Unajua, Kenyans have been blaming the church for not standing with them and things like that. But I think this statement, for me, I'll just specifically talk about whatever they said. They're just typically calling the government and asking them to do everything that the young people have been saying. The unemployment, the inequality, the lies, the deaths, the abductions, all that we have been calling for day in, day out. And it is important. It adds weight to all this that we're doing. And that's why you're seeing the government is firefighting. But I'm worried about the president himself. I think he needs to tone down, and I think he needs to go for soul searching. Because even at the height of all this, he still goes out and makes a statement and claims and says that where even though we try to correct, we try to call for accountability, we should be factual. It is very absurd for him to say that. I think that is very, very absurd. I mean, is he saying that the bishops are not factual when they say he is lying, or when they say there are killings and abductions? Oh, by the way, maybe because he has been on record before saying that he is not aware of any killings and abductions. So I think maybe he's living in a different country. But that is not the kind of head of state. Imagine that's the head of state of the Democratic Republic of Kenya. You can imagine saying that people need to tone down, or people need to be factual. Yet we can see for ourselves, things are not working. Nothing is working in this country. You know, even those people who are talking numbers, they're not talking, the numbers are not in the favor of government. I don't think there's any number that someone can tell you that is in favor of government. Okay? There's no number that is in favor of this government. Nobody will tell you about those are just PR stunts, and that's what the government has been reduced to. That's what the government has been reduced to. Firefighting. And people say this, they are all over firefighting, releasing. You know, when Kibet started releasing those pictures, Kina Itumbi they tried theirs and it backfired on them badly. You know why? They are doing a paid job of trying to contain Kenyans. Kenyans are doing this out of will. It is very organic. And the Kenyans have time. You know, these Kenyans who are unemployed and are calling out the government for employment, they really have so much time. And when they decide to go against you, they go against you full time. And when they decide to do those memes, the government has lost information war. They don't have it. They have lost it. We need to capitalize on that. But for me, as much as I say we need to capitalize on this, I'm a worried man wherever I sit, because I'm seeing a government that does not actually want to work. Give people basic needs, the education that they are calling for. Give it to them. Why are lecturers going on strike for very little amount of money? Yet you're going to give Raila Odinga 10 billion to campaign for AUC. What does AUC bring to our economy? How many youths will be employed from that AUC? The 10 billion you're going to spend in campaign. The teachers have never, the agreement between the teachers and the government has never been honored. And it is pesa kidogo, but you want to give, it is absurd. And you look at the priorities of the government and they will tell you things are working. The economy is doing well. The economy is not doing well. Yeah? They will tell you ati now bei ya unga imeshuka chini. Bei ya unga sisi hatutaki ishuke chini. Nani anambia sisi tunataka bei ya unga ishuke chini? No. We want hata kama bei ya unga ifike 600 bob, but Kenyans are able to buy that unga. Kenyans are employed so that they are able to buy that unga. That's not the problem yenye tunafikiria sasa bei ya unga ikienda chini now, that is a poor man's mentality. It doesn't need to come down for you to afford it. Even if it goes up, you still need to be able to afford it. Provide a conducive environment for people to work, for businesses to thrive, for employers to be able to provide more opportunities for employed people. Because the only thing that is happening right now is businesses are closing down. some people are being some businesses are declaring redundancy, and those are things that are happening right in front of us. Ile yao ya unga wanataka tu washikilie, unga imerudi chini, sijui hivi. Hiyo unga ikirudi chini, that's not the economy. Unga is not the economy. The economy will never be unga. That is not even cost of living itself. But that is what has been reduced to the conversation of cost of living. And that's where we have been taken with a government that pretends to be working. They are not working. But they have lost this information war. We need to keep pushing. We need to also be very, very steadfast. I mean, there's a lot of distractions that will go on, but we need to be steadfast and continue pushing. That is what we need to do. At the end of the day, we are all calling for good governance of our country. Whichever way you are doing it, do it, but be genuine in whatever you are doing. But again, be wary of those people who call others NIS. They are the NIS. Hao ndio ma NIS, by the way. They are the ones who are Gaitha ameshikwa mara 3, pengine amefinywa huko akaambiwa. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. But whenever he wanted us, we called him. We called for his release. We supported him. Sasa yeye mwenye sasa yeye anaita watu NIS, he needs to know that people have supported him and stood by him. And I don't think people will, hata siku moja, hata akishikwa tena kesho, I don't think kuna watu people will turn their backs on him. Hata wako watu walisema akwe released, even though sometimes he used to be very, very sometimes go so much off. But people unite whenever they are arrested or they are being abducted and things like that. That is what we do as a society. That is what is morally right. But now, when you have the opportunity, unakuja kudistract watu na, those are the distractors that I hate to see on these streets. But also consume information responsibly on these streets. Hakuna mtu mwenye, people, kila mtu akona their own agenda when they are posting, when they are tweeting, when they are talking. So consume information also responsibly. Thank you very much, Pipita, for giving me the mic.
Okay, thank you so much, The Real Joe, for that submission. I see the one and only Redemptor. Habari, my colleague.
Mi niko poa. No, we've come a long way. If people are talking about it, means there's something good you're doing. On this bishop's conversation, I would want those men, those very daring men, wanakuanga na Subaru na napatia tu assignment kidogo, waende wachukue tu bishop moja wasunde kwa Subaru moja tu. Walikuwa wangapi hiyo squad? Kwanza moja hata hapo amevaa hizo marobes. Watu 28 wachukue tu wawili, wachague tu wawili wabebe hao, because if you're aiming for critics of government to silence them, that would be a very good thing. That said, the Vatican pretty much has a space in Kenya. The presence of the Catholic Church, not the church, but the seminaries, the convents, the interest of the Catholic Church in Kenya are just shocking. How much land do they own? In fact, I read an article many years ago by one Father Kizito, and he was asking how much land does the Catholic own. So these are shareholders. And so I would even take this conversation a different way. I would ask, Pepita, you've been noticed, how many people do you talk to in a week? These bloggers, we keep saying about 527. I've never understood. If 527 inakuanga ya one post, I mean nakuanga, mtu analipangwa 527 akifanya nini?
Wakipush hizo hashtag, I think.
Post moja ama siku mzima?
Yeah, I guess it's I've never worked for them, so I don't know. But I think per day. Haikuangi pesa mingi kupush tu hashtag.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm curious for people who hold conversations, because now you're influencers. Whether you're influencing 100 people, you're shaping conversations. You're a newsmaker. Every day you have to think, what is trending? What are we going to discuss? How is it relatable to what is the atmosphere in the country? And so I'm just curious, this regime has enough money to buy anyone. So the bishops, it will be, what's your price? Your price is, Amjalipwa mission hospitals, NHIF owes you a few billions, pay those ones. Is it how it's going to work out in the end? Is that how we are going to influence people who are suffering? Because I'm just thinking, Gladys Shaloi, but the boss lady, we saw her in kunaitwa Bomas of Kenya, kwa amebeba ka briefcase, We saw her when Brigadier was about to be impeached, and today she has to address the bishops. How strong and powerful are these people that you can that you can address people who command a community of over 10 million Kenyans? You just call a press conference and you tell them, you know, you are bishops for spiritual reasons. You're not here for political reasons. So for me, maybe the next conversation after we react, because sometimes we are very reactionary, we need to find out how we influence. How much influence do we have in our little corners? Because this has shaken people. I think some of you have seen I don't know if it's fake news, the WhatsApp screenshots about them saying, this is just trending news, tomorrow it will not be there. But is it really trending news when we keep having this conversation and saying, now people are saying they're going back to the streets? So I look at the bishop as a difference from the conversation of their church leaders and just change to how many people do they have influence over. Yeah, the figures we are talking, I saw a very conservative number of priests, about 3,000. I think there would be more. Because if we start thinking in those lines, then we are going to be more intentional in how we shape our conversations. Because we are also shaping opinions, we are keeping people informed. And so that's why you see hashtags. A guy who is making silhouettes. And within a very short time, everyone knows about these silhouettes, enough for them to influence. So I'm interested in that conversation. So those who hold conversations, you don't know how much power you have on a daily basis. So I just wish you luck in shaping the conversation in a way that serves your country. And I always say we come to these conversations with baggage, and that's why people will label us, because Pepita sahi umepiga watu nyaunyo wale walichagua serikali. What did they expect? They expected bottom up. I have compassion for them. The people that I actually feel sorry for are the ones who didn't vote for him, because now they are even double orphans. You first 2023 watu wakakula tear gas, wakabeba sufuria, wakaachwa kwa mataa. So how do those people feel? Forget this one, bado wako kwa serikali. So the people who are influencing conversations, for example, when you come and ask, are Kenyans feeling the impact of the money, the economy? The question should be, what is the impact of having 10,000 Kenyans who have so much money they can buy a Bentley? It's called a Bentley. One can buy a Bentley. Alikuwa anauza duvet. Hiyo ndio biashara kubwa sana ashaifanya, alikuwa anauza duvet. I think those are the conversations we need to be very intentional in having. Yes, bishops wamekuja, they have said their piece, they have gone. Those are the conversations that people can relate with in terms of the jargon of economics. Because when I go to spaces of economics, I try, but I can't even stay for long because it becomes very complicated. But if you ask me, let's talk, why does this mama afford this car? That is a relatable conversation. So let's just keep talking about what is happening in our country. I'm glad the bishops have spoken. I have a lot of quarrels with different groups, but I don't like to quarrel with people because maybe Mungu amenena now, finally. They've had a loud voice. Wake up, dress up, and go and address the nation. Yeah, don't go to see the president again. I like it. I really like what's going on. I like when enough people are suffering. Now they can speak up. So Pipita, kama umetajwa leo in Maneka, umeonekana, and keep doing what you're doing if you've been noticed. In terms of informants, I think we are so connected with the people who report on us, people who pick us up. They live next to us. They're our sisters. They're that lady who is your friend. They're in our WhatsApp groups. So we just have to learn to live with them. Because if this Titanic sinks, tuna sink pamoja. So have a good evening. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Redemptor, for that submission. Of course, yeah, we'll keep on pushing.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
The only thing that keeps me, I think, from even reacting is the fact that Home Run with Pipi, for those who know, has been running since 2023 June. So we do not owe anybody any explanations in terms of what we have been talking. You can go back and listen to the more than 200 recordings of Home Run with Pipi. Just click on hashtag Home Run with Pipi and listen to our conversations. But I see Irving Miseda, habari yako?
How you doing, Mr. PP? I was my favorite in ISA.
Yeah, talk to me.
Hello? All right, hi everyone. My name is Irvin, aka Mr. Average or Gen Z Klelesha. Now, with regards to what the bishop said, okay, I actually did know that a meeting was held about a month ago amongst church leaders, and so I was already aware that there was already something building up to them making a stance on everything. But at the same time, I have to say that the Archbishop did the right thing. You know, you cannot be seen to be sanitizing an oppressive regime or seen to be neutral. As Desmond Tutu once said, as Archbishop Desmond Tutu once said, that if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. And the reason why I like this is because I'm a practicing Christian. I even have a layman's diploma in scripture. And the main motivator when I went to the streets was my Christian belief, because I believe the God I serve is a God of justice, a God of mercy, a God of love. And so when I went as a Christian, remembering everything that has been taught to me through the scriptures from my parents and my pastors. And even back when Kimani Chungwa called me and my friends iPhone carrying Gen Zs, one of the first things we did was we helped raise money to donate sanitary pads to a charity in Huruma. And I've never been exposed to poverty like that in my life. You know, I remember on the way there, we feeling so self-righteous, oh, we've done a good thing. And then when you arrive, the shock of my life was that what we've donated wouldn't even last a month. And then when I came back home, watching the news and seeing all these pastors taking pictures with Ruto, it was heartbreaking. I'm sure most Christians that were on the streets with me were heartbroken. I even told my mom, I'm like, in history, I was taught stories of the Anglican Church fighting against the Atlantic slave trade. I was told stories of Reverend Martin Luther King using the pulpit to fight for social justice. I was told stories of Archbishop Desmond Tutu using the pulpit to fight against apartheid. All these stories were taught to me by a Swedish atheist man. And in my own country, there's no such thing. I'm like, where are the church leaders that are fighting for justice? Where are the church leaders that are fighting for equality? And I told them, like, you just have to look at the statistics on where the moral stance is. I'm like, look at Gen Zs. Despite Gen Zs being the most educated, the statistics also show we consume the least amount of alcohol. We are the least promiscuous. We consume the least amount of porn. So it's not an issue of morality, because the morality is clearly on the side of the Gen Zs, but yet the Gen Zs are not going to church. And it's not the Gen Z's fault. And it's a good thing, because my mom did tell me that you're probably not the only one that went there because you're a Christian. And what should be the right thing to do is find other Christians that were with you in the movement, and also look up and find Christian leaders that have supported you. And that's how I found out about Anglican Bishop Alexander Muge, who, from what I've read, is actually the face of democracy. And he ended up losing his life fighting for democracy in Kenya. And so, as I close, I'd like to say something that one of my favorite pastors of all time once said. And he was a pastor in Nazi Germany. And he said, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So to those of you that are Christians, and if there's any church leader here, I have to leave by saying that the Church of Kenya must stand with the Gen Z to prevent repeating the same mistake pastors made in Nazi Germany? Thank you.
Asante sana Irving Miseda for that submission as well. I see the one and only Gloria is here with us. Long time no here, Gloria. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Peter. Hey, I took a health break. Lakini
Pole
Mungu
sana. I hope you're
ameniokoa.
feeling better now.
I'm very much alive. God is very faithful. So now, on this topic, the Catholic bishops, what I can say is we all know that the church, as we know it, the church as the body of Christ, not necessarily Catholics, but the church, the Christian fraternity, led by the leaders. These are religious leaders, and even ourselves as Christians, that we have failed our country. We all know that a lot of things happened, especially June 25th, when protests began, people died, young people were killed, and abductions continue to happen. Things continue to happen, but the church was quiet. Instead, we even saw some of these leaders rush to State House instead and came out of State House with envelopes instead of calling out these political leaders. So, like Paul, sometimes people get, I don't know, but a Damascus moment sometimes happens, and maybe the Damascus moment is here for the Catholic bishops, that they finally open their eyes. So regardless of for me, regardless of what probably could be pushing them, like it said, because they spoke about monies that have not been remitted to them through these mission hospitals that they run, fine. That's a selfish kind of, something self-centered, self-interest, fine. But then also still points out the fact that shisha is not working, and that affects all Kenyans. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping that it's truly a Damascus moment, and it's for us, not even them, the bishops and what. It's for us to take advantage of this moment and push things and speak louder online. If we can push for even the other Christian fraternities, the SDAs. But remember, like last time when we were asking for justice for this blogger from Mombasa, people pushed the Muslim fraternity, the sheikhs, to say something. We can still do the same, so that we have all religious leaders from all corners calling out this government. Because the truth is, nothing is working in Kenya. The truth is nothing is working. And I see again leaflets, I see, people have started talking about a total shutdown on Thursday. Others are talking about Tuesday. For me, the thing is, much as they're saying, oh, let's mobilize, I don't know, let's, wherever people in the rural areas, let's talk to them. Or people where revolution does not necessarily have to have, like, we have to bring everybody. Because what we are going through, it's affecting everyone. So if there is somebody even at this moment that hasn't realized what we are going through, then the person is not with us. And I don't think any amount of cajoling or what we would like to call civic education would make such people change their minds or see the light. Because suffering is everywhere. And I'm speaking as Adon, who is currently suffering. Moi University, we haven't been paid since September. Where are we now? This is October. The university has not, this semester, it was supposed to be the third semester. the second semester, I think the one beginning September. First years who joined Moi University for the first time this year in September have never seen a classroom. They've never had any lecture. And for 7 years, pensions for Moi Uni, I don't have pension. For the last 7 years, no remittances. Yet the thing is deducted from your salary. So in short, we've been earning net salaries. So your pay slip shows this deduction, the other. If you have loans, it shows a deduction, but the money is not taken to the bank. So there are people who have, the loans have incurred interest. They even have cases with these banks for non-payment of loans. Yet your pay slip, the money has been deducted from it. And still through that suffering, and was to the Moi University chapter, of course, there's the general strike for all universities that began 2 weeks ago, after the one in September was called off, as usual, promises that were never fulfilled. So they called for another one. Then there's the one that is Moi University itself. But still, with even that suffering, you still find traitors, deans who want to force people to class, writing people, memos, the university management writing people show cause letters, lecturers who appear in classes, so maybe 1 out of 7 classes, someone goes to teach, yet this person does not have pension for the last 7 years. This person does not have salary since September. And for people like us who are unwell and health is very costly, you even go to hospital, you wonder, like you're trying to pay for a service, your card is declined. There's no money even in the bank, and you are unwell, and you have a cover, a so-called cover, and right now there is a Don from Moi University who has been detained in hospital, in Eldoret, St. Luke Hospital. The man was sick, he has been treated, he's finally well, but they can't release him because your cover cannot cover, 450, almost 500,000. Where is the she? Where is the sha? And where is this so-called private? And this is a university done. So you can imagine the kind of humiliation. And these are people with children, people who have to pay rent, people. So if this kind of humiliation cannot get someone to see what the truth is, if that kind of humiliation, where these issues, even they play in parliament, but nobody is doing anything about it. They're just issuing promising notes. Some of them, even the president is not even saying anything about it. And remember, people have not gone to class since September. There are children who have not seen, and yet they paid school fees when they came in. And nothing is going on. Nobody is saying anything. If people can't see that humiliation, what civic education can we offer them? If people cannot feel that and even betray others, betray the strike, if you're seeing those things doing rounds, maybe they'll find themselves online, of lecturers who sneak to class to teach. If they cannot see it, what kind of civic education can we offer? There's no kind of civic education we can offer. Us, even those in the urban areas, the so-called educated, are the ones who even need civic education more than those people in the rural areas that you're talking about. So yes, let's mobilize, let's what, but me, I stopped shouting. I'm an advocate of the street. Let's go to this. I stopped saying let's go to the street for this very reason, that if I have to tell you to go to the street, then you're not ready for the street. Why should I tell you to go to the street? So are you going because I've told you? Are you going because I've told you there's bad governance? Where are your bad governance? We only. That's why I stopped advocating for these street things. I stopped, and the more reason why I even stopped advocating for, it's for the way people infiltrated the movement. They came in with their own nefarious, selfish interests, pushing their own people. So as you're saying, Ruto must go, they're imagining they'll put there Gachagua, they'll put there Kalonzo. Every day there are people coming with their nefarious, That's why I stopped advocating. So if someone wants to go to the street, well and good. But I keep saying, know why you are going there. Know why you are going to die in the street. For what? Are you going to die for somebody, or you are going to die for what you believe in, you as an individual? So yes, a lot is happening, but still, I still feel that we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go with all these traitors, people who are suffering, but mtu wetu is more important than the suffering that they're suffering. I don't know, but fine, let the Catholic bishops speak. It's a step in the right direction. Let's hope others will speak. Let's hope Kenyans themselves, without being coerced, without being cajoled, without being offered the so-called civic education, we'll see what is happening. That's the only way we are going to save our countries. But before we get there, I think we still have a long way to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for that. And we are hoping for the best on that side of Moi University. It's quite painful to work for that long. You have to go to work, give cuts, mark exams, and then not get paid. And for those who are listening in and wondering why you hear somebody finished university and then could not graduate because they got missing marks, that is how they get the missing marks. Because now, since this lecturer is teaching here on part-time, their salary has not been paid, their dues have not been paid, they decide they are not going to submit your marks, and the university cannot put marks for you that are out of the air. So you'll find out that some of you have lost your marks and the lecturer is far gone. So part of these issues happen from that. And that is now you seeing people like Moi University. Imagine mtu aliingia first year September na hajawahi ona class, and we are in the middle of November. In 1.5 months, we will be in 2025. In 2025, they will be again told to pay another amount of money calculated by the means testing tools. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Home Run with PP, and that is the reality of life.
This is Home Run with PP.
Western Shilaho, good evening.
Good evening, Pipit. How are you?
I am well, as well as I told you, I always like keeping well.
Great. Thank you, Pipita. Pipita, just, about our society, we tend to be very peculiar in the way we relate to issues of social justice, representation, good or bad governance. Like, tell me, the constituents of Madeira, why would you hasten signing a booklet, whatever it is, to recall your MP? Not because your MP is non-performing, not because your MP stole money. You may have done all those things. Not because he's inaccessible. Because your MP is part of politicians who send, the immediate deputy president home. So it's not about your interests. It's about what you think your MP did, which annoyed you. That's peculiar. It's peculiar. It's the enduring deficiency as far as our politics is concerned, that we completely ignore our own interests, and we are ready to put our lives on the line for the self-serving parochial interests of the political elite. I mean, why didn't we see the the signing of whatever booklet or collection of signatures before. It has been accelerated in the aftermath of the impeachment. Well, that is not how to fight for good governance. That's not synonymous with, responsive governance. That's not synonymous with civic citizenship. That's what they call false consciousness. You're fighting for people you think represent you. They don't. They don't represent you. So I find that peculiar. And we think that's democracy. You are recalling a member of parliament because of the decisions he made in a palace coup, in a palace fallout. That's a palace fallout. It's a palace fallout. It's nothing to do with you, an ordinary citizen on the ground. So we have a long way to go, and which why, this civic education thing, tribal politics is not about voting for your core ethnic. Tribal politics is about holding an essentialist mindset, a mindset that is impervious to evidence. Even when there's evidence that, look, the position you're holding is not sustainable, you still hold on to it tightly. And that's why in the US, when they say certain states have become battlegrounds, what it means that people have changed their minds. They have. Or their people listen with an open mind. You are, as a Republican candidate, you come, we'll listen to you. You as a Democrat, we'll listen to you. But where it's black and white, well, people have made up their decision long before the elections are ahead. Can you imagine that kind of political system? The other thing is, when you find that you agree with someone, you're reading from the same script, you ask, is it for the same reasons? You may find yourself with a person or a group of people in the same team or league, but for totally different reasons. And if you don't establish why, you may be mistaken to think that you're being driven by the same objectives, while in actual sense it's not. And we run that risk as far as our political problems are concerned. That this bandwagoning, everybody's on a bandwagon. So the temptation to imagine that people are on that bandwagon for similar same objectives of good governance, rule of law, moral rectitude is very high. While in actual sense, that's not the case. There are opportunists there, there are charlatans there, there are chancers there, there are all sorts of people. Well, the primates, I'm still not convinced. I hold my position, I'm still not convinced that this is some kind of volte-face as far as moral rectitude is concerned, as far as good governance is concerned. I'm not. I hold the position that the church is still struggling to find its bearing, the post-Moi political dispensation, still struggling to find its bearing. Because, you see, they talk about contrition. Contrition is where you own up to the things you have done before. You own up to your mistakes. You own up to your sins. You don't just begin as if, your history begins from there. There are things you've done before. If people remember very well, during the presentation of his certificate to William Ruto at the Bomas of Kenya, the Catholic Church was represented. So was the Anglican Church. Do people remember? They remember more about the Anglican Church, but the Catholic Church was equally represented. Now, look, in another society, the clergy will steer clear, especially when they can see that this election is becoming extremely contested and is going to be inconclusive. And there will be conflicts thereafter. We steer clear because we will be required to mediate. We steer clear. Let them sort themselves out. If things were to boil over, we can move in and see whether we can help these protagonists find one another. They were there, said prayers and stuff like that. Now, if you're Raila Odinga and you feel hard done by, so those clergies, if they were to call you to some room for some mediation, would you turn up? Would you turn up? You would not turn up, and you'll be within your right not to turn up. because you would accuse them of having taken sides. But when they come to speak, they don't tell you that in the past, we've made decisions and we could have been more discernful. We've made decisions in the past. We could have been more discernful. No, they just start speaking and condemning of the government of lies and stuff like that, taking advantage of the people's frustrations and disillusionment, which in itself is not in keeping with, what God, demands of us as his children, as Christians, not to take advantage of, poor people, frustrated people, disillusioned people. David Ndii, if you look on his timeline, he's posted a picture where the Catholic primates are there with William Ruto, and there's money there, some words of notes in some suitcase or whatever it is. What is that picture telling you? What the picture is telling you is that the government has got dirt on these people. It has dirt on them. Yeah, it does. In the recent past, it's been very fashionable for politicians to buy these people cars when they're being installed. Cars. So I ask myself, the church with all its wealth cannot buy a bishop a car? Or is it about the type of car that the bishop wants? The church with all this wealth can't buy the bishop, newly installed, a car. Politicians have to do it. And then you ask, what do they get in return? What do they get in return? Because politicians don't just do things because they're charitable, they're philanthropic. No. The decisions they make, they purport to be, caring. They're not caring. They're cynical. It's something they're expecting in return. And what will betide you if you don't know? If you don't know. In Zimbabwe, there was a Catholic priest, the Archbishop of Bulawayo, the second largest city, was called Archbishop Pius Ngube. He was very much against Robert Mugabe. He was on Mugabe's case, and he spoke, people listened. What the Mugabe government did, at some point, they just leaked some sleazy tapes in which that bishop was seen, in some compromising situation with some woman. And that sank the bishop. He was never heard of again. Where he went, no one knows. So the state is very powerful, especially if you are its critic, and you better be clean. Don't meet these politicians at night. Don't drive into State House, and then you come out of State House and you want to speak against these people. They have got a dossier on you. They have got a dossier on you, and they'll release it. The David Ndii one is just a very light one. In other jurisdictions, as I'm putting it, like in the Zimbabwean case, they can really sink you. And he resigned. The bishop had to resign and just disappear. Where he went, no one knows. So you must have clean hands if you're a man of God. But you can't be a man of God who invites politicians and the people can see the politician is giving you money. The politician is buying you cars. The politician comes and says, I'm going to buy pews for this church. I'm going to finish, the construction of this church. What is the politician getting in return? Well, your moral rectitude. That's what he's buying. He's buying your silence. When you raise your voice, he asks you, where do you think the money I gave you came from? Where? It's part of that loot. If you think it's part of that loot. Part of the money I used to buy you a car. And it didn't start yesterday. Even Ndingi Mwananzeki, who used to be on Moi's case, especially in Rift Valley, when he was the bishop of Nakuru, during the ethnic-driven clashes back in time. When he moved to Nairobi, he was bought a car. By that time, it was called Democratic Party, DP, headed by Mwai Kibaki. At that time, he was, I think, the official leader of opposition. And some people are scandalized. That's why have you allowed politicians to buy you a car? What are you getting? What are they getting in return? How are you going to speak against these politicians? And yet they've given you a car. Can't the church buy you a car? That was a scandal. big scandal. It hasn't stopped. They have been receiving cars ever since. They have been. So it's not the in thing for you if you're a Catholic, a member of the Catholic Church, to defend the Catholic primates because you're a member of the Catholic Church. That's tribal politics. The same thing as defending ODM or Azimio or whichever party, Roots, or whichever party, for no other reason because you're a member of that party. So you are very much impervious to reason and logic. It's not true. The church has failed the society, the Kenyan society, and that cannot be belabored. It's evident. It's evident. You see, in other jurisdictions, church people are so morally powerful because even in states, we talk about America is powerful because of its military might. Some other states are powerful because of moral gravitas. And that's what Mandela, for instance, counted on. Moral gravitas. That when the world would see Nelson Mandela, they saw a moral colossus. A politician who doesn't draw his power from anything else other than morality and ethics. So why do church people think that morality and ethics does not amount to power? Why do they think so? So why do they drive to State House? It should be people who reside in State House who are looking for church people. It should be William Ruto driving into the Archbishop's compound for counsel, for advice. So no, it shouldn't be the other way around what we're seeing. Why? What is it that William Ruto can give you that the church can't give you? What is it? The church can't build a house for you. They can't buy a car for you. They can't sustain you as far as your needs are concerned. Why do you have to suck up to politicians? That's a question. It's a question that we have to ask, and robustly so as a society. We don't. We're giving church people a free pass, but they're very powerful. The church is the second wealthiest entity to the state, not just in Kenya, across the world. Even if you go to the US, go to Britain, all over, second to the state, very powerful. So why don't you leverage this power for the interest, for the sake of the vulnerable, of the poor, of the marginalized? Why can't you leverage this power to act as the salt of the earth? Why don't you do so? Why don't you leverage this power to be the conscience of the society? Why do you suck up to politicians? When politicians are having their meetings about constitutional review, church people are there. Read the history of the country, church people are there. You are in the midst. Then Kenyans don't get a constitution. So how are you going to explain yourself to Kenyans? You are part of that mess. You didn't stand aside. Some of them were heading those committees. I don't know, Bishop so-and-so is head of that committee. Okay, at the end of the day, Kenyans don't have the constitution. What are you going to tell them? You are part of the mess. And that's why when things go haywire, God forbid that they don't go haywire, we have to look for mediators from outside the country. Oh, Tutu is now dead. The other day, Kofi Annan is dead. Where are we going to get these people? If we don't have our own people within our midst, who can call these politicians to order? Where are we going to get these external actors to come always from Tanzania? Politicians from Tanzania. They come to Kenya all the time to help us save ourselves from ourselves. It can't be. Why? Because of deviancy. Deviancy. That's what explains our public life. And it doesn't just afflict the political elite, it also afflicts the clergy. It afflicts us. You had intelligentsia. Intelligentsia. For 8 years, your university has not been remitting your pension. For 8 years, why have you been waiting? For 8 years? For 8 years. Yeah, because it hadn't hit you. Within 8 years, the problems you thought were for, this ordinary, these mere mortals. They are not professors. They don't have PhDs. They don't have big titles. So they were their problems. But they have caught up with you. As Nimola puts it, the one that Avina just referenced, Pastor Nimola, during the Holocaust in Europe, you don't divorce yourself from the plight of fellow human beings. Because if you don't stand up for them They will be wiped out. You remain, and they'll come for you because you're exposed. So it has been silos. They are not my problems. I'm earning a salary. My bank, there's money there. Or you people, oh, I pity you. But gradually the state is decaying, and it's decaying for everybody. Eventually we realize, you know what? The thing is decayed for all of us. All of us are going home with virtually nothing. They have raided our paychecks. Initially, I thought it was just a preserve of those low-income earners. I thought it was a preserve of those who reside in, high-density neighborhoods, informal settlements. I thought it was a preserve of rural dwellers. They are not sophisticated enough. They don't appreciate, the whole business of governance. You realize, no, the state has decayed. Governance has decayed. So I am very much not convinced about these clergymen. I'm not convinced. They are playing catch up. When a person says, those people are running ahead, I'm their leader. You are their leader and you're playing catch up. How can you be their leader? You should be in front. You can't be their leader while you're panting the way you're doing, running, catching up with them. You're not their leader. It should be the ones who are following you because you're the shepherd. Why are you following them? So I can put it to you, if Gen Zs had not poured onto the streets last June, it would have been business as usual. We minimize the impact of what the Gen Zs did. We minimize. It's very fundamental. And no one can say they didn't achieve anything. No one can minimize that. If they had not poured onto the streets, it would still have been business as usual. People are just lamenting in their own small corners. Oh, I'm going to order food from the rural areas. Someone saying that the cost of living is becoming unbearable. I'll order some sweet potatoes or bananas from the rural areas. You're organizing your life around bad governance. You're organizing your life around autocracy. You're not confronting it. You learn how to cope with it. For how long will you cope with it? How do you cope with lack of medicine? How are you going to cope with that? How do you cope with lack of functional schooling system? How do you cope with that? You can't. It's not possible. It's not possible. How do you cope with a decayed economy? You can't cope around that. You can't organize yourself around that. You can't. It's not possible. But the mindset would have been that. So the Gen Zs are the avant-gardes of just not change, of mind shift in thinking, paradigm shift. And we don't give them the credence they deserve. You think, no, you didn't gain anything. No, what do you have to show for it? What do you mean they don't have something to show for it? What is it? Things have changed. They'll not be the same. Politicians who take Kenyans for granted going forward, they'll be in for a rude shock. They'll be in for a rude shock. So it's not like there are tangible things you can see. Or they burned a building, or I don't know. No, it's not like that. It's the mindset that we are not going to take this nonsense going forward. And you take us for granted, we promise you we'll take you to the cleaners. That's the message they're driving across. That's the message. We don't have guns. We don't have bazookas. We have the minds, the resoluteness, the sheer force of numbers. That is it. In any polity since the recorded history, when people work together as a collective, you even with your military force, your tanks, your artillery, you can't defeat them. It's as simple as that. You can't defeat them. So you better respond to the demands that they are making. So fellow compatriots, I don't give the clergy any free pass. I don't. I think the church has colluded with Kenya's oppressors for the longest time. And that's why government apologists, they can really pinpoint some of these clergy and berate them for double standards, for inconsistency. And some of them are even downrightly dismissed as ethnic jingoes, tribalists. You hear they're writing those things. They're government people, and they know because they hobnob with them. They know the things they're talking about. So don't move anywhere close to government people. Even in this movement, you can see some of the people who are considered de facto leaders. They're hanging around with politicians. You don't do that because they will damage you. You are a threat to them. If you are outside of their orbit, you are a threat to them. But when they bring you in their orbit, now they can destroy you. They can destroy you. And they will do it. When you try to define yourself outside of them, they just shoot you down. It could be a dossier. It could be money that they wired into your account. And you're done. You need credibility. If you're fighting against people who are such, who are such colors, you need credibility more than anything else. And you move closer to them, you take pictures with them, well, you're finished. You're completely finished. It's just that picture they need, to pull out and say, this is your leader. Here we were with your leader. What do you think we're discussing? You want us to tell you what we're discussing? You want us to tell you what we're discussing? That is enough to make you lose face among us, those you are purportedly championing for. So we must be careful. Church people have not been careful. They're not careful. Now it's fashionable. Everybody is speaking against the William Ruto administration. So it's very fashionable to speak against it. It's fashionable. But to stand out and say, look here, immediately after Ruto was sworn in, the things we're doing, who stood up? Was it the church? It's not like they began this thing yesterday. They started taking Kenyans for a ride immediately after they were sworn in. Where was the church? Where was the church? And that's why the church has been dismissed as having been against Moi as a person, not against the excesses that the Moi administration was accused of. So in the post-Moi political dispensation, they saw no need to continue speaking against those excesses. And they are now rising up now. When they rise up now, I promise you, they will be dismissed the way government apologists are dismissing them. Where were you when Kibaki was in power? Where were you when Uhuru Kenyatta was in power? And you can't dismiss that because we're talking about morality, and morality is about consistency. Even when no one is seeing what you're doing, you do it because it's the right thing to do. What if somebody is watching you? So morality is not when you're by yourself, no one is seeing you, you do your own things. When you're outside, everybody is seeing you, you do the right thing. That's not morality. That's cynical. You're being cynical. So you can't say, it doesn't matter that we didn't speak up during the Kibaki era. No, it doesn't matter. We didn't speak up during the Uhuru Kenyatta era. We're speaking now. No, but can you explain why you didn't speak up? What was the problem? Were you dumb? Were you dumb? Why didn't you speak up? You can't explain that. And if you can't, the inference is that you are opportunistic. The inference is that you have got a personal vendetta against the person you're speaking against, as opposed to institutionalized corruption, institutionalized ethnicity, institutionalized bad governance. We better watch out when these things unfold before our very eyes. We have to watch out and pick the lessons. If we don't, we'll fall in the same pitfalls as they are doing. I don't think William Ruto is scared of the church. He's not. Because he knows how much money is given the church. He knows. He knows the kind of things he's discussed with them. He's not scared of them. I can promise you. He is not. Thank you. Keep well.
Thank you so much for that, Tristan Shilaho. I see Japonji is in the building. Thank you, Japonji, for tuning in, and also nimeona umeingia pale kwa tipja. Wacha nikupigia makofi. Siku hizi ni kugumu huko. Unajua hata siku hizi kanisa imeamua hawataki hata mchango.
Yeah, that is true. Now, I'm fine. Thank you, Pepito. I just came in like 12 minutes ago. I was listening to Western. Western, thank you for your consistency in the spaces, and I always love listening to you. I just wanted to light up like a few things that I heard you talking about. You see, the bishops. You say the bishops were not there during Kibaki, during Uhuru, during And that's exactly what the government apologists are saying. But if you do a fact check, which we have done since morning, you realize that the same bishops have been speaking, only that people were not listening. They spoke when Moi was there. And you know what happened? That's why there's fear. You realize that 32, how we call them, notices zimetolewa since bishops waongea, and they're saying that that bishop took it on his own accord. But we realize that there are 28 bishops across the country who signed the same media, like a publication. So my point is, as much as we are talking here in your space, Peter, there are things that just allow us to come in sometimes and try to correct, because it sends a very bad, precedence, or we are trying to go the government apologist way. We should try to avoid that, So I just wanted to correct that. But going forward, so Catholic bishops speak. The one thing that I wanted to say here that I have done my due diligence and checked is that the Catholic Church in Kenya has over 18 million baptized Catholics, which is almost 40% of the country's population. So according to the 2019 National Housing Census reported that 10.6 million of these Catholics are regular mass attendees na wako na kura. So you understand why the state feels threatened. So if you look at it from this point, then you realize that actually the church has a bigger role to play, and that's why they are producing all these news, like defending the regime at all costs, So I wanted to put that straight, and let me keep listening. I'm working out. Then I will try to pop in at some time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Brother Japonji, as well. Now, let me just read a comment here from a lady from Kenyatta University. I hope she's here. Anaitwa Honorable Mwangale Agnes. Agnes Mwangale. Ni Agnes. Yes, Agneta Mwangale. Agneta Mwangale has written a comment here that she is a student of Moi University, and that is where I got that submission of they have not been in class since September. Let's see. I'm trying to find a comment here from her. People have been commenting. While I'm trying to find that comment, you can request the microphone about 25 minutes before we end it here on Home Run. And of course, make sure you go to that link if you have come to this space, and go to that link, HRWP. You will subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You should not be busy. You should not be bored over the weekend. Yeah. Watch those stories that are there, including poet Willie Oeba, who was in Moi University, and now you see Moi University is crumbling. He grew his talent in Moi University. Imagine if Moi University was not there during his time as he grew up in talent, he would not be wherever he is right now. So check out, click on that link, or go to YouTube and search HRWP, Home Run with PP, and you will see my big head there. Make sure you subscribe. We are at 450 subscribers. Tukifika 500, I see about 81 people here. If 20 of you just subscribe to that channel right now, we will be at 470. So click on that link. Yes, while I'm trying to read these comments, the link is on the tweet that is pinned on this show right now, HRWP Journey Series. Click on that link right now and subscribe. I'm actually refreshing while I find that subscription. We are at 197 views. Guys, come on. Yes, so while we are hitting on that subscribe, you can always support Home Run with PP through the tip jar line 0721948229. Of course, Home Run with PP is an independent voice. We do not have any corporate or government sponsors behind this show. So all the income, all the way we maintain this show is through the tip jar line. That is how I maintain my show, including kuweka studio. And whenever found myself in a financial fix, I've always come out to the listeners na nikasema ukweli niko na fuliza, and of course the listeners have always gotten us there. So kusikia kwamba watu wanasema kwamba home run pia iko associated na kuwa government pro government, bwana, ni kunikosea heshima. Earlier this year, if you saw hashtag free my passport, that was me, and we got what we got. And you see now passports are coming out as they're coming out. Though I was a victim of my own success, 300 days waiting for passports. So for people to just come out and say that now, oh, we are people that are now pro gava na sisi ndio tuna, it is just utter nonsense. But anyway, we understand some people live out of abusing people. So yeah, Honorable Esther Agneta, I think she says that the student leaders at Moi University, the president and the secretary general is Kalenjin, so they are not. They went in, what do we call it, unopposed. Kenya's collective spirit is on the right path. However, the government of Kenya stands in stark contrast. Ultimately, we the people shall emerge victorious, laughing last and longest. We must remain steadfast and resolute, continuing to forge ahead. That is Jeffy K.E. Do you think people reduced going to church? This is just a random question to everybody. I feel like people also reduced going to church, the youth, especially after what they did in June. I think people just stopped going to church. But yeah, for people who have not gone to church, I see EKM saying, can't wait to hear women from church yelling, Sugoi guy abuse their bishop. Sugoi will have it take. That is EKM. Thank you so much for that submission as well. Mkuu sasa anasema Tangazo University should train clergy of other churches. I don't want to say anything else. Yani he knows everything. Ataanzisha vita ya Catholic ataweza. All right. So there's a lot of comments as well you're seeing here. The church has been in dialogue with the Pharaoh Kalinda government. Let my people go. It's only because it became public yesterday. Talk to your priests. That is KD Little earlier on as well. So regards the microphone, I've had very disappointing submissions from the lady like Gloria, especially when it comes to lecturers not getting paid their salaries from September. And you know, Moi University has been closed, then opened. Students have not gone to school. I really want to hear something from there as well. I don't know. Gloria, now that wameambia watu warudi nyumbani shuleni, are they planning to like pay your back pay ama bado hiyo tutajipanga? Gloria?
Let me come later, kuna distraction hapa kidogo.
Okay, sawa sawa.
Kaniuliza niko.
Hi, let's have new speakers coming over talking to us, because right now we are just getting, naona hapa Western wametoka kuongea, Gloria is busy, Japonji is working out. Guys, Japonji is working out, listening to Home Run with people. I know some people listen to us while they're driving. How? And Google listens to us while he's working on his bike.
Yeah. Sorry, Pipita. Today is like shoulders day, man. We have to work out. We have to be ready. Thanks.
Manze sisi sasa utanitumia ka workout hivi, because next year I want to stop some bad habits and start working out. Yeah.
Make it a lifestyle. Just make it a lifestyle. One time open your space ya mambo ya fitness, tutaongea. Hiyo ndio profession yangu boss. Sawa.
Tufanye, unajua ingekuwa si eti next Thursday tuko na shughuli na must go. Tungeifanya next Thursday kwa fitness Thursday, but we can organize because
you organize.
Home Run is always on.
Thanks. Just organize and chip me in everything to do with the fitness, diet, hizo vitu za obesity, hizo zote. That's what hiyo ndio inanipatia pesa ya rent.
kama vile mimi podcasting kuongea inanipatia rent, wewe ni unajua, kama mimi nikiamkanga asubuhi nisikie kama niko na homa hivi, nasikianga gai kitega uchumi imeenda haki. There was a time nilipoteza sauti hapa wiki, kina Western ndo walikuwa wananishikilia show. Ladies and gentlemen, let us bring Western.
Yeah.
Sasa ukiamka usisikie mikono yako, unasikia wa
ni kuzoea, unazoea. You just make it a lifestyle.
Nice.
Yani, ni kitu unajua, ni kitu tulisomea, alafu ni kitu unapenda. Actually, is one of the courses being offered in KU. We were pioneers of sports science. It's one of the courses yenye huwa iko undermined, but trust me, it's one of the best courses. Juwezi kosa job. So yeah. So,
nice. I hope kuna mtu anasikiza hapa hivi na anafikiria hiyo uwanja. Yeah,
it's there. We were pioneers, and actually we did very good. You know, like we did very good. And huku nje tunapata those guys who don't have papers, and we just, you know, walk through them, you know, because we do what we love and we love what we do. So we don't feel like working, you know. So that's what it is. So
yeah,
one time,
actually, guys, I feel like nitafungua, you know, me, I actually feel like it's work because I sit here 6 hours listening to people. Some people are insufferably tiring in the mind. Wengine ni machopi, wengine wako na kizungu. Imagine listening to 10 having me said as
uko na information mob sana. You have a lot, but you have to like screen to what's important to you, what you take from. Unajua, by the fitness lifestyle, I can just tell you something that me last time nilienda Hosi, and it's not like to brag. Last time nilienda Hosi sijui ilikuwa 2019. Unaget, since tu niweke fitness lifestyle 2019 ndio last time nilienda huko, like before hiyo COVID hata ianze. So and hata saizi nikaambia HR ati sijui kichwa inaniuma, wao wanacheka juu huwa wanaangalia record, wanasema guy, you've never been sick, you've never taken sick leave or anything. Yes, but sasa wananiambia tu go. So that's what I'm talking about. Lifestyle, unajua, kuelewa what brings how the pharma industry works, unajua. So once you get that, that's why mi upenda Amerix, but sasa ubaya Amerix huwa anaongeza chumvi kidogo.
Wewe sasa unataka kufungua
No, it is what it is. It is good.
Unataka kufungua bakuli lingine hapa na nataka kwenda kupumzika. Si umesema fitness ni kurest? Yeah.
Ndio hiyo.
Wacha story ya Amerix tuilete next week. Wakati tuko na nguvu.
Nimewachana nayo. So
very nice.
Just before I leave, because I have a friend here who ananichongoa. So I just wanted to tell you, see, if pharmaceutical companies cured you, they'll go bankrupt. See, if banks helped you get out of debt, they will collapse. If politicians actually solved all your problems, nobody will elect them again. If Tom kills Jerry, the show is over. The thing is fake. Thanks, man. Keep injecting.
That is a man like Japonji. Let's give him up like with this one. Let's do it like that.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Nimeona hapa hivi mtu quarter to the hour anaitwa Honorable Agneta. Mheshimiwa Honorable Agneta, si ulisema watu walipita na oppose, kwani tena ulipata kiti? Hi.
Hi.
Habari ya huko Keses?
Keses tuko tunapambana. We're trying.
Mtu aliniambia kwamba Moi University huko ndani is a whole community. That is Willy Weber. Is a whole community, watu wameoana huko, kuna watu wajaitoka huko for years. Now that saizi shule ni kama imefungwa, ama what is happening in that community in Moi huko?
Thank you very much for having catch up after quite some time sijakuwa na kwa on, but at least I'm back. It's a lot of things, like a lot of things shitty. I don't know. But yes, we went home. You remember we had some demos kidogo. Then the school was closed because it was around 2 months without being taught. So the students just decided to raise alarm like, we've paid, so why are you not teaching us? And no response, nobody talking about it, like nobody to go to. So students were like, no, then we have to go like ask these people in a different, Kenyans understand the way Kenyans understand Kenyan leaders. So by the time they were planning to go to us, that's when they met the memo of closure. So, and meeting the memo of closure, the armed, not armed, the men in uniform were already there, like in the very big numbers. So it had to be whatever it was, and we had casualties. But then after we were called back, so we are waiting to see what's happening. Yesterday we saw our lecturer. Was it yesterday? Yes. Yesterday we also saw our lecturers were trying also to speak out, but they were not allowed in school. The police were around, so walikuwa tamed. They never went through the gate, like, so they were forced to have their meeting outside the gate, the new gate, our new expensive gate. So like, I think that's how it is. Students are just frustrated.
Wait,
Like,
you guys have a gate and people have not been paid?
we have a gate of over
What?
25 M. Can you afford that? Yeah, so I don't know, but okay, students are just there. Me, my problem is freshers. Okay, I'm a director. I'm a student leader. So I'm holding a position of a director, social affairs and student welfare, basically. So my issue is freshers, but those people have never been oriented. Most of them, of course, there are few who have been oriented. A good number of them, of course, school of us and a bigger population of reasonable numbers, more than 2,000, around 2,000 hapo. So hawajako oriented, like they don't know exactly, like hawajui anything to do with university, never went to class, never saw anybody they know, like hakuna kabisa. So they ukiuliza mtu like, no, what's your name, what are you doing, like nimefanya course transfer, like they don't understand anything. Uko kwa any WhatsApp group, yeah, maybe a class or they don't know, they're just there, wanda uko hostels, they sleep, wake up, sleep, to wait for the evening so that they can sleep, and sleep to wait up for the morning. So that's it. So it's really frustrating. Najua we've lost very many students during this small period. Yeah, so under two months, like this month last month tumepoteza around 7 students. 7.
To
Na a
suicide?
few wamekuwa suicide, then wengine tu some accidents zenye zingekuwa avoided ka tungekuwa class. So I don't know. Na bado tunaendelea hivi, like lecturers wako na stances zao. Nimesikia rumors kidogo kidogo the lecturers have been dismissed because they were participating in demos and what. You've had Madam Gloria. I think she's my lecturer or something. So I've had like some of them have been dismissed, some of them have been given show cause, and so but a few nimesikia kuna wachache wanafunza online, but the whole population iko resistant juu like they are being forced to go to class, yet their remittance has not been they have not been paid for quite some months. I don't know, like it's a whole bad things. Anyway, I should not just speak about my university because I'm a patriotic Kenyan. Other universities, they also have students. They have not attended class for the last 1 month. Of course, you can see kuna graduations zinaendelea and what have you. Hizo ni vitu zilikuwa planned before na dates zikafika before the strike ingine imeanza. Sijui there was a strike, then waka end, but now the demands were not met, so they have resumed. So utapata these other universities as before maybe na graduation, unapata like hiyo graduation may happen before the resumption of the strike. So other students hawasomi, they're not in class. In fact, I'm in a platform in we are all student leaders across the country. They're discussing on, I don't know, how can they solve that. But now you'll find that most of the student leadership recently, currently, they're not working out because utapata the management control everything. So finding a very strong, powerful leadership kama the previous years, like some years ago, then you'll find that see popular vote, like sisi tunakuwa elected na delegate system, see popular vote. So utapata like some people hata hawana touch, like their leaders, yes, but they don't have that touch na students. So kuna university hawasomi kabisa totally, na wako wana expect exam. Kuna wengine walipush exam hadi 23rd December, like for instance sijui ni Kisii, think ni Kisii University, walikuwa wakuwa na exams this month but ikabidi wamepush, but bado hawasomi juu the national wide strike is going on, is still going on. So bana, education sector is collapsing day in and out. There is nobody speaking about it. Everybody is silent, like kabisa kabisa. In fact, history ya Moi ndio iko inakuwa distraction, yet other university pia zinaumia. So like if it's to salvage the situation, then it should be the university, and not just university bana. When we see this country, you can see that education system in a fail, like it's failing. Things are just not adding up. Ukiangalia CBC, it's a mess. Ukiangalia, of course, high schools, of course, ina roll out like, I think ni two to three classes. Hawa kitoka, then kutakuwa na form 2, 3 and 4. So hatujui nini ita happen. Aya, walimu pia walikuanga strike the other, I don't know, the other man. Sijui kawa walikuwa sorted ama ilikuwa tena half. Me remember when I was joining first year, Moi, 2021, tena tulikuwa na search nini, like we didn't do exam, tena kulikuwa na strike, like gavana jaribu kusort things kidogo kidogo, not kidogo kidogo per se, but they are carrying over I don't know, over a head, I don't know what which, I don't know, but wanajaribu kususpend the problem, then inafika mahali inakuwa too much that they cannot handle and they start crying. And I think kila kitu sahi imekuwa politicized. Like for instance, angalia the topic that we are here today. Nobody ever imagined that we can reach such a point. Hakuna, like everything is just a mess. Ukiangalia health, KMPDU, they're issuing notices very soon. We have our students who wanafanya medicine. They are training in hospitals. So if anything happens, then our medicine students, not in Moi University alone, and other institutions in zina offer medicine course, they'll be affected, of course, automatically. Utapata watu wenye like the interns, au bado ni students too, kinda, of course wamegraduate, but kuna venye bado they're working under instruction. So you'll find that pia watakuwa affected like vibaya sana. So I don't see the point even of masomo. Okay, of course I know its value, but now it may reach a point where now like kusoma, it has just become something different, like something, I don't know, juu wase wenye people who doesn't have the skills but they have, I don't know what, those are the people who get jobs. When you decline this, you'll be given the other one. If you don't want that, you can choose whatever you want, you'll be given. But people who have the skills and ability to do the same, they are routing in borders, matatus, and streets. Nobody cared. Nobody is speaking for them. But now you'll find the problem now is they are not willing to come out and speak. Like people have given up. That's the problem that you're having. Wase wamefight hadi si ati kufight, like wase wameamua to give up, forgetting that they're raising a generation, forgetting that they have a tomorrow to live. Me, it really pities me to see a young person and I give up at this point, forgetting that now wanafaa waingie job market, wanafaa waishi for the next 30 years. I don't know what they really want. I don't know exactly whatever they do want. Like how can a young person today give up? Now how are you going to help your kids, your future generation? How? But it's right time that I don't know what we just can do, because Gloria talked about it and said we don't need to remind people, bana. We have seen and we experiencing it. Like tunaiona kama ni macomrade shule wana vile life ni ngumu, kama ni wase wako streets wamemaliza kusoma, they know how looking for a job outside here is hard. So like I don't see the point tena tuanze kuambia watu sijui nini, alafu utapata at least kuna some population, people are learning, people have gone to school, but now the problem is their reasoning, like they just reason like I don't know. So unapata these are kind of people wenye wanaturudisha nyuma juu mse mwenye hajasoma akiona mtu amesoma na reason hivi, then be like wewe like where we headed? Anajiambia eri hata at least sikusoma juu I could not even afford being stupid like this person. So tumefika point yenye everything imeharibika. Nini, health it's bad, education is bad, now church is kwanza tulikuwa tumeanza historia ya kutax church. I don't know how it ended. So today we are on this, tomorrow we don't know what will follow. So if we cannot do something today, then we are losing our country forever and forever. And if we can manage to do something, if we really can speak the same language, hata mi nitaambia Gloria, mi kuna time nilikuwa nikikuja spaces ningewaka niseme venye like nigombanishe watu, like siku hizi hata I just as long as I've done the right thing, then I'm good to go. You can't force people. Yes, you can advise somebody, but the decision is theirs to make. So bana, when we come here bana, acha tujengane, acha tujenge nchi yetu, and that's it. That's what we have, and the only thing, that's the Kenya we have. So if we see it failing and falling, we should not be happy and standing aside and say, sani nyinyi leo sisi. It's very wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Agneta, for that. I'm trying to see the comment section hapa hivi. Hizi silhouette zinanibamba mbaya sana. Jao Bishop wako hapa ndani, Kindiki nipe lighter. Oh my God. Submissions by Gloria and Agneta are horrifying and very heartbreaking. That is bionic. This is a whole university, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, if you don't know. That is Moi University. And we have just listened from a lecturer and from a student. Hapa ndani ya Home Run with PP. Submissions by Gloria and Agneta are horrifying and very heartbreaking. This is terrible. What's happening at unis in Kenya, the lecturers are being robbed of their pay with deduction that don't serve purpose. Students are unaliving themselves, no classes to attend. I also have a relative who works at the university, and some university is paying their lecturers 65% of their salary. Their staff, literally. 65% of their salary for the past 4 years. And they're not even promised that they're going to get their money. And Western, when you speak of, what are you doing when you've not been paid and you're just there? It is not by choice, you see, as in, it's not like this is a permanent job, like you're expecting to get paid from it. And then you are being told, wait for next month, something is going to be better. Government releases money, and now you see like that 26 million, if it was purposed well, it would have probably paid some lecturers, but they decided to build a gate. Same as your Egerton University's gate. I'm like, okay, why? Why? Okay, it's big. So somebody said here that Miss Giant are Europe, but somebody said in some countries that universities don't have gates. But in Kenya, universities have bigger gates. Very big. It's like the gates are the ones that are going to school. So pray for Kenya, Mama Kenya. Yeah. That is what I have to say this week. I'd like to hear, I don't know if Gloria is back, maybe talk to your student. I don't know, ni kama mtahave trauma bond. Juu hapa hivi there is no safe space. Wote mko tu kwa shida. Gloria, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Umesikia Agneta
I'm
anasema she's your
here.
student.
She's my student, siwezi mkata. Ni mtoto wetu. Yeah, I mean the situation is just terrible. Unaona kama like she's spoken of accidents that happen unnecessarily. Like there are 2 students who drowned kwa something that was, I think it was a quarry that was left unattended, alafu iko na maji. Of course, being idle, students walienda kuswim. They dived but they didn't know hapo ni matope. So they instead got stuck kwa hiyo matope, of course suffocated and died. So what she's telling you is true. And that could have been avoided if students were occupied, if they were in class, because unaona management inashinda ikidanganya students ati kujeni, sijui classes zitaanza. So students are also keeping hope. And remember the economic situation. If you think about going home, maybe kwenu ni Mombasa, kwenu ni wapi, you think of that transport. Niende nyumbani, and then maybe they call us tomorrow or the day after, and I don't have transport to come back. So students instead have chosen to hang around. Unaona? And so many things are happening because of them being there idle. But the government doesn't seem to care. You see, much as we are feeling our students, but also we are also in the situation where it is now or never. We can't go back. Because I can't imagine now if something was to happen, mimi sina pension, because I haven't worked for long. I became permanent, say, was it in 2015? And if since 2017 people don't have pension, it means I have no pension. Sasa nikisema, okay, now I'm leaving work, nategemea nini? So there's also the other side. Lecturers are also parents, they have kids to feed, they have rent to pay, they have. So for me, what I would advise Mwangale, and it's a good thing she said that she's a student leader. Talk to your fellow student leaders. Let's join together. Mutafute UASU leaders in your universities, the NSG, mukuje pamoja, so that we speak as one voice, because we're all suffering. Students are suffering, lecturers are suffering. Because if you ask me, students have paid fee, and Mwangale will confirm, in Moi, and I'm sure in all other universities, Moi at least unaweza soma kama hujalipa fee. The other universities like UON, you can't go to class without first paying fee. But all over, you can't sit exams without paying school fees. So parents have done their bit. They've paid school fees, especially ukimagine first years when you waliregister na school fees. So you can imagine that situation at uliregister, ulilipa fee. Wewe uko tu university jina. You don't even know what you're supposed to do. Imagine such a situation. So the only way is to join together. Niliona some student leaders met at UON, did a conference, wakasema Monday that you guys are going to go on the streets. I ask that you reach out to the union, the WASU, your lecturers. Let us work together. This is our fight. Sisi wote we are suffering, and I'm not happy, especially ukisikia ati students wanakufa. So I mean, what is that? Even me as a teacher, I'm supposed to be teaching. Mimi ni venye tu sasa I'm on sick leave. But if I was well, I'm supposed to be teaching. Kwa nini watoto wakae shule na wewe kama mwalimu, what is your mandate? See, to give them knowledge na waende, because kuna wengine wamekaa shule, they've never graduated. Years and years are going by, especially watoto wa School of Medicine, because of unending strikes. Sincerely, hata mtu ana give up. Unasikia wakianza kusema masomo haisaidii. The same thing hata sisi tunakaa, unasema umesoma mpaka hiyo PhD na kusaidia na nini? If people who have not gone to school, the studies of this world, are the ones determining your future, are the ones determining your destiny. Why did you go to school? They are earning lots of money, stealing money left, right, center. 10 billion sijui kwenda AUC, but there is no money to pay lecturers their monies. I mean, what is that? What is that? So what's the point? Either they say they are closing all universities, masomo tujue Kenya hakuna masomo, ama let them decide what they want. But we can't have few people deciding the future of our children, deciding our own destinies, when wao wenyewe hata they don't even appreciate education. Some of them have never even been to classrooms, but now they're deciding our future, earning a lot of money, arrogance left, right, center. So for me, the only way out hapa ni kuungana. So honorable, talk to your fellow student leaders. Tuungane.